You think you made that decision. But what if you didn't? What if the moment you saw the first number, heard the first opinion, met the person for the first time? The decision was already made for you, not by someone smarter, not by luck. By 5 systems running inside your brain right now that you've never once noticed. You've been making decisions your whole life. The question is, how many of them were actually yours? The anchoring effect. Imagine you're negotiating salary. Before the conversation starts, your future employer says, "We typically start at 40,000. You hadn't said a number yet, but now without realizing it, your entire negotiation will orbit that number. You'll ask for 45, maybe 50. You'll feel proud of yourself. But here's what nobody tells you. If they had said 60,000 first, you would have asked for 70. The first number, whether it's relevant, random, or completely made up, becomes the invisible center of gravity for every number that follows. A group of experienced judges were asked to decide a sentence. Before answering, each one rolled a pair of dice. The dice were rigged. Some landed on 3, others on 9. The judges who rolled higher numbers gave longer sentences. Same case, same evidence, same judges. And these were trained professionals, people whose entire careers were built on objective judgment. The anchor didn't care. You can't turn this off. But you can fight back, and it starts with one move, going first. Before any negotiation, any purchase, any conversation about numbers, drop your anchor before they drop theirs, because the first number in the room controls the room. Make sure it's yours. The halo effect. Read these 2 descriptions carefully. Person A, intelligent, hardworking, impulsive, critical, stubborn, envious. Person B, envious, stubborn, critical, impulsive, hardworking, intelligent. Same 6 words. Same person. But people consistently rate person A as more likable because the first word creates a halo. And everything after it gets filtered through that halo. The person who impressed you in the first 5 minutes, you've been giving them more credit than they deserve ever since. The person who fumbled that first impression, they've been fighting it ever since. And they don't even know it. The most dangerous part of the halo effect isn't that it changes how you see people. It's that it decides what evidence you're willing to look at. You don't just see them differently. You stop seeing the truth entirely. But here's how you fight it. One question, every time. What do I actually know about this specific thing, separate from everything else about them, not their reputation? Not how they made you feel, just the evidence in front of you right now. The halo doesn't disappear, but you can learn to see around it. The contrast effect. You're buying a car. The salesman leans in. Would you like to add premium leather seats? Only $3,000 more. $3,000. On its own, that's significant. But next to $80,000, it feels like nothing. That feeling is not a mistake. Your brain judges things based on what's beside them, not by their actual value. People will walk 10 minutes to save $10 on a small purchase, but won't walk 10 minutes to save the same $10 on a large one. Same money, same time, but the context changed everything. And this doesn't just happen in stores. The apartment that feels reasonable after the overpriced one, the job offer that feels generous after the insulting one, the relationship that feels healthy after the toxic one. Whoever controls what you see first controls what you feel second. You can't stop the comparison. But you can refuse to let it decide. One question cuts through it. Would I pay this if I saw it alone? Strip the context. Judge the number by itself. Because the moment you compare, you've already lost part of your control. The Zeigarnik effect. You finished a task today. You don't remember it. You have an unfinished task from 3 days ago. You can't stop thinking about it. Your brain treats incomplete tasks as open loops, and open loops demand attention. Constantly. The half-written email. The conversation you didn't finish. The plan you started but didn't commit to. They sit in your mind like tabs that never close, quietly draining your focus. And your brain doesn't care what's important. Everything unfinished feels equally loud. Inside your head, there is no priority, only noise. And that noise is making decisions for you right now, deciding what you notice, what you worry about, what you can't let go of. The way out isn't to finish everything. It's simpler than that. Write the next step. Not the whole plan, just the next step. The moment it's written, your brain lets go, because the loop is held somewhere safe. Get the noise out of your head before it decides what you focus on next. The paradox of choice. A supermarket ran an experiment. In one setup, they offered 24 options. In another, just 6. More people stopped at the bigger display, but far fewer actually made a decision. More options attract attention, but they reduce action, because choice feels like freedom. But after a certain point, choice becomes a trap. And here's a real question. What are you not deciding right now because you think you need more options first? The career you haven't committed to, the relationship you haven't chosen, the version of yourself you haven't become, because you're still keeping everything open. More options don't make decisions better. They make them feel more dangerous. So you wait. And while you wait, the decision is still being made. Just not by you. The way out isn't fewer options. It's a harder question. Which option can I commit to fully, even if it's not perfect? Because a good decision executed completely will always beat a perfect decision you never made. Here's what all 5 of these have in common. They don't feel like control. They feel like thinking. The anchor feels like negotiation. The halo feels like judgment. The contrast feels like perspective. The open loop feels like responsibility. The paralysis feels like careful consideration. None of it feels like manipulation. And that's the point. The most effective control is the kind that feels like freedom. You've been making decisions your whole life. You just weren't the only one making them. 5 mechanisms. All running at the same time. All invisible. All feeling exactly like your own thoughts. Now you see them. The question isn't whether they'll happen again. They will. The question is, next time you feel completely certain a decision is yours, will you remember to check? If your mind works like this, you'll want to stay.